Dedication and Introduction of Verses. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Larry Wilson. Verses by Hilaire Belloc. Dedication. To John Swinnerton Phillimore, a dedication with this book of verse. When you and I were little tiny boys, we took a most impertinent delight in foolish painted and misshapen toys that hidden mothers brought to us at night. Do you have that child's diviner part, the dear content a love familiar brings? Take these imperfect toys, till in your heart they too attain the form of perfect things. Introduction by Joyce Kilmer. Far from the poet's being astray in prose writing, said Francis Thompson, it might plausibly be contended that English prose, as an art, is but a secondary stream of the Pierian fount, and owes its very origin to the poets. The first writer, one remembers, with whom prose became an art, was Sir Philip Sidney, as Sidney was a poet. This quotation is relevant to a consideration of Hilaire Belloc, because Belloc is a poet who happens to be known chiefly for his prose. His Danton and Robespierre have been read by every intelligent student of French history. His Path to Rome, the most high-spirited and engaging of travel books, has passed through many editions. His political writings are known to all lovers and many foes of democracy. His whimsically imaginative novels have their large and appreciative audience, and his exquisite brief essays are contemporary classics. And since the unforgettable month of August of the unforgettable year 1914, Hilaire Belloc has added to the number of his friends many thousands who care little for belles lettres, and less for the French Revolution. He has become certainly the most popular, and by general opinion the shrewdest and best informed, of all chroniclers and critics of the Great War. There is nothing, it may be said, about these achievements to indicate the poet. How can this most public of publicists woo the shy and exacting muse? His superabundant energy may now and again overflow in little lyrical rivulets, but how can he find time to turn it into the deep channels of song? Well, what is the difference between a poet who writes prose and a prose writer who writes verse? The difference is easy to see, but hard to describe. Mr. Thomas Hardy is a prose writer. He has forsaken the novel, of which he was so distinguished a master, to make cynical little sonnet portraits and to pour the acid wine of his philosophy, a sort of perverted Presbyterianism, into the graceful amphora of poetic drama. But he is not a poet. Thackeray was a prose writer, in spite of his delicious light verse. Every novelist writes or has written verse, but not all of them are poets. Of course, Sir Walter Scott was first of all a poet, the greatest poet who ever wrote a novel, and no one who has read Love in the Valley can hesitate to give Meredith his proper title. Was Macaulay a poet? I think so, but perhaps I am in a hopeless minority in my belief that the author of the Battle of Naseby and the Lays of Ancient Rome was the last of the great English ballad makers. But this general truth cannot, I think, honestly be denied. There have been many great poets who have devoted most of their lives to writing prose. Some of them have died without discovering their neglected talent. I think that Walter Pater was one of these. Much that is annoyingly subtle or annoyingly elaborate in his essays needs only rhyme and rhythm, the lovely accidents of poetry, to become graceful and appropriate. His famous description of the Mona Lisa is worthless if considered as a piece of serious aesthetic criticism, but it would make an admirable sonnet, and it is significant that Walter Pater's two greatest pupils, Lionel Johnson and Father Gerard Hopkins, S.J., found expression for their genius not in prose, the chosen medium of their unforgettably most gracious friend, but in verse. From Walter Pater, that exquisite of letters, to the robust Hilaire Belloc may seem a long journey, but there is, I insist, this similarity between these contrasting writers: both are poets, and both are known
Sample complete. Ready to continue?